It's dyno day again. The engine has been rebuilt once again. The first time the engine was dynoed, it made 575, 580 horsepower and 585 to 591 foot-pounds of torque. However, the engine was built poorly. It was contaminated, so it ripped up the bearings and had to be completely rebuilt. So that's fixed. We had a camshaft that had 50 thou of end play. That's fixed. The timing marker was 1.5 degrees out. That's fixed. And perhaps the biggest one is it was 52 grams out of balance, and now that's fixed. So with a happier engine, let's see how it does today. So stay tuned. The engine specs remain the same as last time: 467 cubic inches, 10.2 to 1 compression ratio, Brodix race-right cylinder heads, Claysmith hydraulic roller camshaft. We will be using the Dyno headers, which I believe are still a hooker header, 2-inch primaries. I think they're about 36 inches in length, 3.5-inch collectors. So very similar to what I'll be running in my car. We did change the install height of the valve springs a little bit. Previously, it had 147 to 155 pounds on the seat and 400 to 420 pounds open, where it now has 160 to 165 pounds on the seat and 436 to 442 pounds open. I wasn't happy with the oil pressure during the last dyno day, whereas it was about 53 PSI without even having that hot of oil temperatures. The new engine build looked like it was going to be the same, so we swapped out the Melling 77 standard oil pump for a Melling 77 high volume oil pump. The new pump primed at 78 PSI, whereas the old pump primed at 65 PSI. So I'm thinking an extra 13 PSI of oil pressure, give or take, which would be perfect. Lastly, the camshaft was installed on 106.2 center line, whereas before it was said to have been installed at 104. However, the timing mark was not correct, so I don't really know where it was at. I just know it's going to be a little bit different now. So there are a couple of differences on this dyno day. The first one, we're using a Superflow SF902 dyno. We have about 1 less liter of oil in the oil pan. We had 7 liters according to the previous builder before, and it's about 6 liters now. That could be worth a little bit. We're starting off with an 830 CFM carburetor, whereas the old one was 750. I wouldn't be surprised if that's worth a little bit of power. And then, of course, we have no pulleys. So before we drove the water pump and the alternator, and not today. And based on my calculations and what I've seen, that could be worth 15 horsepower, give or take, maybe less, maybe more, who knows. But if we made 575, 580 horsepower before, I wouldn't be surprised if we're in that 590, 595 range now, if everything else is equal. So hopefully we make more than that, but let's see what it does, starting with the carburetor. After going through a specific break-in procedure to seat the rings and whatnot, the dyno operator drained the oil and checked the oil filter. Oddly, there was a black paint or some sort of dry black substance on the pleats that seemed to be part of the Wix filter, something the dyno operator has never seen before.
You should take a picture of this filter before I cut it open.
Oh, that looks way different.
As for the debris in the engine, I gotta say, these builders did a phenomenal job cleaning the engine. There was virtually nothing in the filter, which is fantastic.
See that, like, let's say this little speck here?
Yeah.
When it's wet, you don't see those. So that's why I squish it to see the...
I noticed the same thing before.
Okay, so that's nothing.
That is nothing.
That is nothing.
I'm so happy about this.
After doing a couple of low RPM pulls and getting the 10W40 oil up to temperature, it was time to make the first pull to 5,500 RPM. Nearly 568 horsepower and 590 foot-pounds of torque on just 32 degrees of timing. AFRs were 12.6 to 12.8, but you can see the oil pressure is awfully high. If it primed at 78 psi cold, I expected this to be a good 10 psi lower while hot. Now, going to a high volume oil pump should not increase oil pressure by 30 psi. This needs to be addressed at some point. We continued on by bumping the timing to roughly 35 degrees. I say roughly because there is a lot of scatter with the timing. Definitely something that needs to be looked at later. As expected, the engine liked the timing. It made power everywhere. 586 horsepower and 596 foot-pounds of torque. Now, it was time to swap to the EFI. Unfortunately, this was a disaster. I haven't touched the EFI since it was last on the dyno a year ago, yet for some reason my tune wouldn't respond correctly. We were seeing 17 to 1 AFRs at 2000 RPM with just the slightest load on it. It wouldn't data log properly, and the timing was even less consistent. We abandoned the EFI from having any control over the timing at all, even when locked out. I loaded a default tune that I never loaded before, which was enough to make a short pull. It was clearly down on power, far worse than what I saw on the first dyno day a year ago. Frustratingly, it cost a lot of time, but we decided to go back to the carburetor and just see what the engine could do. At 37 degrees of timing, it made 592 horsepower and 600 foot-pounds of torque. From 4,000 RPM to 5,200 RPM, it made over 580 foot-pounds and over 590 horsepower from 5,600 to 6,200. So it has a really broad power band. It probably could have made even more power if we tuned the carb, but there's really no point since I won't be running this carb. In fact, I don't intend to run a carb at all. To satisfy my curiosity, we threw on my air cleaner, first using the Moroso drop base I normally run.
I think that was bad. I didn't like it.
It murdered the power, as much as 39 horsepower at 6,200 RPM. However, a lot of this is down to how much it richened up the carb. About a full point richer. I'm sure if we leaned out the carb, we could have recovered a lot of that power, but there just wasn't time. I then put on my All-Star Performance drop base and we ran it again. I thought we would see a bigger difference. Instead, it gained at some points, but it lost at others. Though the test really showed that it's something I would like to investigate further, especially with the EFI on. So, dyno day is done. Didn't go quite as planned. The Phytech EFI was a piece of garbage. I don't know why. It seemed like we had a corrupt file because my Cam 1 tune, which worked on the last time I dynoed it, it went super lean. It just wouldn't throw fuel in it. I don't know why. So we went through a Cam 3, which I'd never used before. The tune is way off. It was very rich. And then it gave all kinds of other issues as well. So we had to just abandon the EFI, which stinks because that's what I intend to run. At least that was the plan. But that might have to change as well. I don't know. But we ended up making 4 592, 593 horsepower and 600 foot-pounds of torque with the carburetor. The air cleaner killed power. A little bit surprised it killed as much. We saw the AFRs dip down in the 11s, so that I think if we leaned that out, it would be a lot better. I'm not sure if it would pick up to be the same, but it would definitely be a lot closer to than it was than what we saw. Now, I guess it's just a matter of loading it up, doing the 4-hour drive home because I had to go out of town to do this dyno. That stinks, but if you guys enjoyed this video, hit the thumbs up, subscribe, and as always, thanks for watching.